Let's do a quick sound check. See if you guys can hear me. Check, check, check. Yep, so. Is it working? Hello, hello. There we go. All right. The delay was a little bad. Welcome back, Vanessa. All right, good. The crew was all logging in. All right, so just a quick reminder, tomorrow night, remember, we will not be having our traditional chart school. Tomorrow is the Nadex broadcast on parabolic retracements. What we can do is I will try to stream that first. That's supposed to be like, I don't know, I think we were supposed to, the goal is to make it like 35 minutes or whatever, 40 minutes. Shouldn't be super long. Questions after. So what I can do is I can jump over here and kind of break in, since there will be no kind of like chart discussion. It's basically just PowerPoint. I will jump over and we can do some analysis tomorrow night. Just real quick, do like a quick like half hour kind of run through real fast. I know you guys, can't go without your pip chips for an evening, so we'll make sure that we get that out of the way. Yeah, all day today. So I've been, well, actually, I can't say all day. About half the day, the baby was like very needy today. Been working on this, the rest of this thing, and trying to get the rest of the recordings finished. I liked one of the graphics that Nadex really had up there about 3 different ways to do it. I don't tend to trade a ton of touch brackets for retracements. I really don't trade them at all. I don't, I wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan of them, but you could obviously use them for retracement. So I'm trying to go through that section now and slow me down. So, but I am happy with the way that the binary and the spread section came out. So, looking good. Like I said, I'm happy with it. It's going well. The goal is to get as much of it done before tomorrow as possible, and again, it'll be at this week. It could be, maybe. Is it cutting in and out? I'm not sure. I can't actually hear myself, so if you say that it is, then it could be. I don't know, is anybody else having that same problem? There's an echo. Times it is. I don't know. I can change. Let's see here. Do that. Make it a little bit louder. Back is back. And on YouTube, it isn't cutting out. Yeah, I don't know. It could be Ernest. What's up, Vic? How you doing? Angry Mac, I would just like to point out that we had one gentleman today that gave up on his Mac and is very excited. He's the brand new owner of a wonderful Windows machine. It was beautiful. So I have both tabs open. Yep. Good. I appreciate that, Vanessa. That's the best way to do it. Both tabs, and then mute YouTube. All right. So looking at the day today, rather flat day. And if you see, there's really, besides, again, on Monday, all we really had was Draghi speaking and the Parliament vote. We do have that one set correctly. So not the biggest day today as far as actionable news items. Obviously, the Brexit thing was something that we were waiting for all day. In the presentation this morning for Nadex, I talked about really kind of, all eyes were on that, but everybody was basically paralyzed because of it. Because it's, are we going to have an election? Are we pushing it down the road? It's leaving a lot of companies and banks and things like that in a level of uncertainty. So really, there's nothing, we can do an election, we cannot do an election. It's kind of like nothing has really been solved. So it looked like we were making so much progress and everything kind of halted. And again, all eyes were really on that. I mean, it is a very big deal. So, I mean, who knows, right? I mean, looking at some of the news here, he's talking about abandoning, Brexit bills to push for a new election. talking about this. We go down here, they rejected for the early election. The cabinet's not going to abstain because, these guys basically are saying that. All right, we should be back. All right, I'm gonna laugh that you said you thought it was your Mac. That's absolutely hysterical. No, the actual broadcasting software shut down. It may have been updating. I don't know. Like there is an update for it, but I don't typically just update it. There's no reason to. It just typically, I think, like all it's doing is it's putting some like Halloween emojis and things in. But anyway, so back to the Labor Party. Basically, the Labor Party isn't voting. I've actually read the other side. The volume is low now. The volume shouldn't be low. Hold on. All right, let's see if that is better. I actually can't make the volume any louder. Um, nope. Yeah, I can't. I don't know. It's not any better. I just raised it. It should be higher. Oh, well, now that should be better. Better. Can't. There you go. All right, cool. It's a night of all kinds of weird settings. Yeah, so I don't know. It may have been updating. I'm not sure. It's trying to do like a Halloween theme for me, and I'm like, no, I don't need the Halloween theme. No Halloween. And I keep telling it no, and I think it's unhappy with me. I think it really, really wants the Halloween theme. So it's not my internet speed? No. No, it shouldn't be. All right, so let's go back to this last time. Labor Party. Basically, they said that if they're not going to support when there's a no deal Brexit. The other side of the coin that I've heard is the Labor Party doesn't really necessarily at this point want to go against Johnson. That they're thinking if they do go against him in the election, that they will not fare well. So kind of two sides to the same coin. Not sure. We'll see. At this point, nothing's been decided. It's all just still just junk. And again, we don't really know anything. So that's really what's kind of led us to where we are right now. And again, a day of really not a whole lot of movement. You can see the pound dollar was up 27. The pound yen was up about 61, and it's starting to come back down again. You can see over the last hour, it started to pull back. It was actually not doing bad earlier today. I think it was up like 80 at one point, 87 or something like that. So it was not horrible. Again, continuing its kind of same rally and kind of moving up again. So we'll see. Like I said, it got beat up for so long. Don't know. On the other front, we had Trump making the tweet today about how things are going ahead of schedule, and I'm curious. As I mentioned before, I want to know what schedule that Trump is actually on because hey, if this is a negotiation, how can you have a schedule? Like I said, I think the whole trade war is fake. It's just a way to kind of, you know, it's a legal way for him to be able to manipulate the markets to position themselves for elections and everything else, and again win some points with the general public. So I don't necessarily think that it's necessarily a real kind of trade war back and forth. But I thought his quote today was interesting about how it was going, faster than scheduled. I was like, oh, okay. Didn't realize there was a script, but I guess according to him there was. So with that being said, what does it look like tomorrow? Let's jump across and let's look. So tomorrow, early morning we have, again, I can't say early morning, but 10 a.m. we have consumer confidence numbers. Okay, and previous was 125. It's supposed to be 128, so it's supposed to get better. But besides that, the day is pretty flat. We don't really have anything else out there. Like I said, I don't think we'll really see any Brexit news tomorrow. I think a lot of that with the vote and everything was today. Again, there may be some surprising stuff. There's always the ability for Trump to make some type of tweet about some type of negotiations or whatever. But for the most part, I don't think tomorrow will be a huge day either. But tomorrow night at 8:30, we do have good CPI numbers. And like I said, tomorrow we will not be on. There won't be a chart tool tomorrow night because of the Nadex broadcast. So again, that'll be one that you definitely want to kind of keep an eye on. Now it is CPI as well as trim mean CPI. So again, it's not always the biggest mover, but when it misses, it moves. Okay, they don't miss the forecast too often on that one. But one of the things to think about is there is an I in there. Okay, whenever you see anything with that I and that inflation total, again, they just recently lowered their interest rates already, so this could potentially be a kind of foreshadowing for kind of another interest rate drop. Okay, it's there, it's possible, and CPI would be the first number to kind of fill into that equation. A little late, but finally back on track. Had a lot of family stuff last week. Yep, Brian, totally got you on that one. So that's kind of what we're looking for tomorrow. Okay. Now where we are in the charts is pretty interesting right now. So let me run through the scanner real quick. All right. Now, scanner wise, okay, a lot of the euro pairs and even the pound pairs, you're seeing that reversal. Now, last week, if you guys remember Thursday, Friday, what we were seeing was basically almost identical charts. We'd have the euro dollar, we'd have the euro yen, the pound dollar. They were all at the upper reaches of the curve, looking like they were going to turn and flip. Now you're seeing this now again across the board. Technically, they were all, technically speaking, they were all at top area where sellers were. Now, as you look over here on the majors, what are you seeing? You're seeing sideways down, sideways down, sideways down confirmed. So some reversals over here, right? In the euro basket, look what we see here, right? Euro pound is now up, right? And that was going down. Euro Swiss is giving us an uptrend setup. And again, Swiss is its own little thing right now. Euro, look at all the euro basket. All sideways down confirmed for Euro Aussie. So interesting how it's lined up, right? Last week it was all up. This week it's all down. Birds are very talkative tonight. I don't know. Now look at the pound basket. This middle one over here in the scanner. These are all sideways down, and then again a sideways down confirmed with the Aussie dollar. I'm sorry, the pound Aussie. So literally across the board, a big flip from what we saw last week. Now on the lower time frames, pound CAD, pound New Zealand, and pound dollar, you were seeing an uptrend setup. Basically meaning that you're seeing a bit of a pullback on the daily. Okay, it's not giving this that sideways down confirmed yet. But we are seeing it on the 1 hour. So I expect that we will start seeing those kind of turn and flip on the 4 hour as well. Now, looking at the third section here, the Aussie basket. Aussie basket is a little bit mixed, right? We have an anchor break to the downside, right? Showing that we have, again, Aussie strength. And again, that chart, basically because of the yen today. And again, the tweet on, basically the trade deal that went straight up in the air and then kind of stayed up there, right? Aussie Swiss, again, its own thing. Aussie dollar, sideways up. Okay, and again, we saw this last week. Aussie CAD downtrend setup, and again, that's an interesting one, a little bit mixed here, and you guys can see the 4 hours. All the ESTA pairs are uptrend setup, meaning that we have a pullback right now in that uptrend. So we'll see kind of how that lays out in the Aussie pairs. Looking across at the CAD basket, so CAD basket is always kind of the weird one. It fits in the scanner, obviously, but excuse me, it is kind of a weird setup over here, right? Sideways downtrend on a lot of the pairs, right? The pound CAD, the euro CAD, dollar CAD. All in that second position, they're looking to the downside. Even Aussie CAD, downtrend setup now, right? Looking at the two that were there, the leading pair, again, what are we seeing? Some strength. Okay, so we have some CAD strength coming back into the market. And again, I think a lot of this also, I think the reason we're seeing this is because now that their election is over, things are getting solidified. People, they understand what's going on. They know who's in there. They know what's going to be happening. Again, having an election and that like not knowing, that's a big deal for a lot of people, okay? And again, I think the CAD got beat up on it a bit. Now, with that being said, I would like to see some dollar strength come back into this, and again, have that pop up, but we'll see that in the charts. All right, so interesting kind of reversal from what we saw last week, especially in these middle two pairs, or these middle two baskets, right? Again, like I said, I mean, the pound is pretty much, down at this point across the board, right? Again, you're seeing this, sideways down, meaning we have some engulf patterns. Not that it's been a big mover, but again, this is, again, you're starting to see it, okay? And with Brexit being pushed back off again, I wouldn't be surprised that this is a trend that we see over the foreseeable future, this kind of downward movement, all right? So let us go over into the charts. Well, let me do this real quick. Transition. Is that the right one? Oh, no, it's this one. There we go. All right, so looking first at Aussie yen. So you guys can see, basically today, I mean, we had rallied back up again, right? Here, where is it? There's your kind of Sunday news right here. Your Friday, where is it? Friday into Sunday, so not really a huge gap. But we talked about this last week, being down inside of this buying zone, right? Now we had pushed back through it, but we said, again, we showed some, obviously some buyers here. And if we could end in that zone, that would be a nice little, area to take off from. And that's exactly what happened, right? We opened here, came back and retested the gap, and then was kind of off to the races. And again, this was the Trump tweet over here. today. That's really kind of launched this thing forward. Now, what did it do? It rallied all the way back from this median area and went all the way back to the top, and now we're sitting more or less in that top zone, right? You can see we're just below it here, and again, price was a bit higher. We were literally grazing the bottom of it. So, with that being said, you obviously have to come to this position and you have to be thinking bearish, right? Because we are at again, this thing started on the daily, right? The last time the price was up here on the daily, it crashed back down again and came lower. Today was obviously a pretty big move up, and again, this was all trade war specific wise. Without any catalyst, or even if the consumer confidence numbers is not a good tomorrow, that could lead us right into some bit of a pullback, right? I mean, market is expecting consumer confidence to be good and coming in at 128. If it comes back in at 126 or 125, basically saying, hey, listen, maybe the consumer's not as confident as we thought, that would turn and flip and again drag this yen down in this pair, right? And again, wouldn't be surprising and have it run back down to the 74.25 area. So, again, we're not talking about, I mean, this whole move here was only about, we're talking, I mean, you're looking, measure this out for you guys, right? From here down, you're talking about 47 pips, right? Not, we're not talking about 150, but again, definitely a, potential short in this position from where we are, coupled with news kind of heading back to the downside. So that's kind of what I'd be looking for right now. Probably it. And again, a lot of this is based off the 4 hour. I do like this 4 hour zone too as well because they are to the descending candles. Descending candles is obviously one of my favorite setups. So that's definitely something you got to look for. As far as what its trend state is, again, where we are sitting in a higher level supply zone will obviously trump trend states. It's just in the hierarchy that's going to win that battle. Okay. Looking at also New Zealand, you guys can see what we bounced off of here, right? Talked about this as well. Okay, we ended Friday. Let's see. Friday candle was here. This one went right across, and again, we really weren't trending too much. Again, it's just continuing to push sideways. Same thing. Early this morning, about 7 o'clock, we started to finally get some ground on this one. This continued to push higher and banked right off of the same daily zone, 4 hour zone that we talked about before. Hit and then continue to drop the downside. The movement in this one is what? About 36 pips. So, I mean, it's respectable. It's not horrible. It's probably getting down to an area. You guys can see this level of basing, and actually price has already been down here once, right? You guys can see based off of where the start of this move was, if we go across, bam, what did we run into? Let's change this to blue. That's our, okay. God, I'm so bad at doing the horizontal line there. All right. So you guys can see it did actually bank off the start of the move, right? So it's kind of completed itself. The risk was a little bit high on it. For that move itself, again, it was based off a 4 hour zone. Again, anytime you see basing, you gotta look for it. Now it'll be interesting to see what it does. We'll see if it's going to base sideways and if it continues to collapse. As you guys can see on the 4 hour, this was more or less a little tiny hiccup. You guys can see the single wick against the wall over here. But again, you'll see this big kind of red, almost clearing wick, right? It's clearing these two candles out and dropping through it. It is a number 3, but again, it does go through. And again, typically this is an area of buyers, and it blew all the way through them. Okay, so in essence, we may have some freedom to take this thing back down to this 106, what is it, 106.90-ish area for a little bit longer term trade. All right. Again, with tomorrow's CPI news, that may give us enough of a catalyst that we can have this turn and flip and go to the downside. Okay. Looking at Aussie dollar. Okay. Aussie dollar here. Kind of the same thing. I mean, we saw a bit of a kind of a run to the downside, right? Last week we talked about we had this little bit of a Harry Potter trade. It was a 3-to-1. We just kind of, after we kind of hit that 3-to-1 right here on this candle, we just kind of stayed inside of it, right? We went back down to the base again, right? And that's that Sunday area, and it rallied back up into the zone. So I would have to say on this pair, I would definitely be bearish again. It has pulled back up into an area of sellers, both on the daily as well as the 4 hour. But is it a strong trend? It was a nice little pop today, but a lot of this had to do with, kind of some U.S. news out there and, some risks. So I don't know. I mean, it's not a bad trade setup right now. Again, like I said, because we are very, very high in the curve, we are, back sitting in that zone again. It was again, it started here and then we formed it again over here. We're back in that same spot again. I have to say I'm bearish for this one overnight. I do like the fact that, again, we have U.S. and Aussie news tomorrow, and we'll see how that one plays out. But definitely be watching this kind of area up here and seeing if we get any type of confirmation. We had a little bit, but it was sitting right in kind of a basing level. If we kind of break down below this gold mark again, this 168.37, I'd be looking for some type of a short, at least with first profit targets down here to 68.10. But I think we can get a little bit lower. I think we could probably drive. Geez, I'd love it for it to get back down here, but we'll have to see what the entry over here looks like. We're kind of at a failure to go higher situation right now. We'll see if that holds or not. All right. Looking at pound Aussie. All right. So pound Aussie, you guys can see, really been stuck inside of this channel, right? And today was no different. Okay. There's our Friday. There's our Sunday. We had a little bit of a pop, and then it came back down. So we are back in the lower end of this zone here, kind of this the two area here. We've just pushed into it. It's a pretty decent push into, right? We are obviously at the lows in this push. It is floating with this area here. I would say the bottom half is really what we're looking for, right? See this kind of this basically the bottom down here. I would say that that's the bottom, probably 30% of the gold area that's marked off. That's where I think the orders are going to step in. It's just past this level here. So that would be, I'd want to see what it does there. Now, if we can break through that, then yes, I'd be looking for a momentum breakout to the downside. Not willing to go long right now. This is a sideways down confirm. Actually, this is not even, it's not even engulfed. So it's just downtrend right at this point confirm, right? Again, because of Sunday, it's actually below. So we're just basically in a downtrend. So we're looking for any type of a pullback. If we can push lower and get that pullback, you'll probably see it on the 4 hour, and that'll give us our downtrend set up on the 4 hour and 30-minute time frames. Okay. So again, Harry Potter coming out the bottom. It was funny. I did actually have somebody this morning mention. They're like, "What do you mean Harry Potter?" And I had to explain that it was, the same shape as Harry Potter's scar. And they were like, "Oh, okay." So there's somebody out there that's telling people about Harry Potter today. I just laughed when she asked. But that's what I'd be looking for on the bottom side of this one. As I said, this one has been a sideways kind of slow grinder, but it's been moving. All right. Now, euro pound. Okay. Euro pound. You can see that this one is basically just flatlined, right? We were getting this nice Brexit kind of news back and forth, and now you guys can see. I mean, here's a 30-minute. I mean, thank God we've in the last, we've gotten what? I think it's like nothing, right? It's we've rallied 7 pips in the last hour, thankfully, because before that, you guys can see back in here, as of like 12:30. I mean, all the way across, just nothing. Yeah, just hasn't done much. So again, the trend has been completely sucked out of this one. It's not good necessarily for either of the two currencies in here. As you're seeing, obviously you're seeing European weakness as well as kind of pound weakness. As far as kind of it, what's engulfed, what's not engulfed, and where we've been hitting things. But yeah, I mean, just not a lot in this pair, right? It's definitely the epitome of kind of sideways. So we need some more Brexit news. More Brexit. No more pushing it off. More Brexit. But I don't really have anything until we pop up back up in this blue zone. Not really interested at all. That blue zone, just if you guys don't already have it marked off, is at 68.90. I'm sorry, 86.90. Okay. So yeah, we out of this one. Looking at Euro yen. All right, so you can see Euro yen has had a pop, but what was it doing? Okay, we're not over the anchor break yet. We're pretty close to it, but I mean, again, it's more or less going sideways. We had to push down. We ended Friday here. Sunday was also low, and then again, this is a pullback. So we are technically in a downtrend setup situation, right? If these two were the exact same, we go across, we hit here. So we are in a downtrend setup situation, looking for good zones on the 4 hour. A little bit more different, a little bit more difficult. Again, wasn't a horrible one here. Wasn't bad. Like I said, it was a pretty standard doji. It did kind of give it a little bit of resistance back, but it really just rallied to the top of the channel. Now, this analysis, I always hate this when you have this really, really long wick coming up, tagging a zone, and then the next one's there. The zone is just too big to be able to take anything super clean off that area, so you more have to look on the lower time frame to see if there's any type of a confirmation. So kind of one of those like, it's like, what are you going to do with this, right? I mean, it cleared all the way up. It touched. This is a little bit of a sideways. So let's see if this is going to actually hold here. It's looking like it wants to go a bit lower, but again, we have this little bit of a buying area here. So I don't know. On this one, I'm looking for a push to the downside. If we're able to come back down, if this is where the new top is going to be, and we start to get a break, I'd like to see price in this one come back down to the 119 kind of 80-ish area, about 100 pips south of where we are right now. I think that would be good. What is it? I heard that one. It did what I wanted it to do. but I snored right through it. James, your sleep habits have been off today. But again, yeah. So again, came down, hit his own, popped, and rallied back up again. Maybe James, that's what we were talking about. And again, this is what we talked about, guys. We ended Friday in the zone, and what did it do? It opened in the direction, it came back and retested, and then kind of ran, right? If you guys are looking for the 30-minute gap on this one, I will move this one back just a little so you can see it. Here is your gap candle, right? Should change that to green. Actually, there is your gap candle. And there was your retest, and then it was off to the races. Okay. So you guys could have played this one here. Again, you're looking at about 6 pip risk. All right, I'm gonna have to do it this way. It's gonna drive me nuts. Down to the start of the move, right there. James, is this the one you slept through? This recliner is too comfy. Ah, that's good. But again, this thing continued to move higher and higher and higher. So you got your 3. This is actually a 5-to-1, right? Risking 6 to get 30. So definitely a nice little run up. And again, that brought it back to the start of the move, right? Oh, wasn't this one? Okay. Well, this was an easy one off the gap candle, right? All right. Let's look at euro dollar. Same thing. Downtrend setup, right? Now, this one's a little bit kind of got pretty close to it. This isn't as bad of a zone, right? If you're looking to get filled here. No. Again, did we hit it? No, we got super, super close on this one, right? So it was right there, but we didn't quite get to it. Now, looking at the lower time frame, looking for potential entries though. You guys can see we had a red, green, red. It started up higher. I probably would have lowered my risk to that level and said, you know, I'm going to probably use that because that's really where we got that explosive movement out of there. So we're unable to actually hit it. Okay, nothing we can do about that. We're not going to hit all of them. If you look across, you can see that there was a basing here. There's descending candles here. So there's a lot of small areas in there where they could have grabbed more. As you can see on the daily, it did go back up and actually touch the single wick against the wall. So again, on the daily, you actually did get the entry, right? It did come up. If we mark this one off here, you guys can see it there. I'll change this to yellow, or orange. The yellow. So you can kind of see that was the area it was looking to turn. So it did hit it on the larger time frames, but again, I wouldn't have taken that much risk. So it's nice. It's nice when it matches up crazy like that, but we didn't obviously get it. So interesting place we are now, right? Because again, we are pushing to the downside. It did bounce off a predictable area. We did think that it was going to, again, over here. And then again, this is your Friday. This is your Sunday. And this is what I talked about last week. If we could end the week inside of a buying zone, that's a great signal for us to go long or short. And that's what it did. It did rally back up again. So this would have been more the target up top. You probably would have taken yourself out of the trade here. What would you have gotten out of this one? Yeah, it would have been small. At the most, you could have grabbed about 23 out of it. So, again, not a bad long situation, but it didn't go all the way back up to its target. And again, like I said, I mentioned last week, I think we get back into this 110, potentially even a little bit lower, 110 like 30 down into the 110 area. That's what I'd like us to see. So we'll see if we can get the confirmation to the downside. I don't love it. The way that it's kind of based right here and these two kind of bottoms, but I think next time it pushes through, breaks below 110.80, I think it'll continue to push lower. Okay. Red, green, red for downtrend, green, red, green for uptrend. Yeah, those are the confirmation signals. Yeah. What is it? My 111? Yeah, the 111 entry. Yeah. Like I said, wasn't a bad little spot. It's okay. I like the other gap one better than this one, but again, it's always nice when you end in a zone like that. Higher. If it had gone a bit higher, I'd have been all on board, but it needed to go to 111.16. It just didn't get there. So, oh well. There are more trades out there. You're looking at Euro Aussie. Okay. Euro Aussie. Again, bouncing from top to bottom. We're sitting in the bottom zone now. So this is a harder one to kind of watch, right? Because you have this one here, then you have two higher, then you have kind of, how many is this, right? But it's really one attempt, two attempt, three attempts. This is number 4, so I'm expecting it to break. I want to see how far it's going to break, though. I'm looking for some type of a pullback on this one. I do like on the 4 hour how we just had this kind of bit right here. I am a fan of this. I do like this right there. Okay. I think that's pretty nice. If we can get a little bit of clearance below, if we can rally up, that won't be bad either. And again, you can see even here on the daily, we have 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, 4 here. So this is definitely the 4th shot through. We'll see where we can go. Again, I like that area there. I also like this kind of how this is formed up here, right? Because we go from 1 to 3, okay? That area is also not a bad one. This wick and wick over wick is a bit too much, but I do like those two little areas there as far as potential pops. I would like it to clear, and we'll see how much lower we can go in this one. I'm not super worried about that zone anymore. You guys can see the next time we really have anything solid there, delete that. Next time we really have anything solid, and like I said, there's a little bit here and a little bit hidden there, but next time I'm thinking is right about there. Clear those off. We don't need those. So that is kind of what I'm looking for now, is a break. Looking of a break of that and then somewhat of a pullback. I want to see what type of base we get when we break over that one. And again, then the potential target is 50 pips. See how that breaks. I want to see where. Yeah. Now pound yen is, let's see, it is up 55 from where it was this time yesterday. Okay, you guys will see. Obviously, it's starting to kind of fall back down again. So this one again, we bounced this one off the 4-hour zone. Okay, it came back up, it touched, and then again we missed the entry here on Thursday, and then this is what it's done. There's Thursday, there's Friday, there's Monday, and then we had this one pop from 8 o'clock this morning until 10. So for 2 hours we had movement, and then went sideways and it's starting to pull back down again. So everything is sucked out of this one. There's absolutely no wind. This sail is dead. Turn the engine on because again it needs something. There's nothing left in this one right now. Still bearish based off of where we are. Again, being high up here on the curve, bouncing off these 4-hour and hourly zones. It's about the only thing we have on it. I mean, there's no trend. There's no big explosion. The last time we have something is down here at 136.60, and we're up at 139.90. So it's got a little bit to go, right, before we're even down into that zone. It's really kind of the two areas, if I had to box it off, would be, down here and up top. And again, let me, what color were we using? This one? I feel like that's the color we're using for other things. All right. That's about all we're looking for. Like I said, if we can go back up again, I will be looking the short if we can get back up to the 141.01. But yeah, I mean 141 is fine if we can get up there. But again, we're 105 pips from that too. So besides that, I'm not a huge fan of this little pop here. Okay. All right. So here's something interesting that I didn't realize, and I think that they changed this. Did you guys realize that on the spreads, it's funny because there is more volatility in the pound yen than there is the pound dollar, but yet the pound dollar has farther apart spreads than the pound yen. Yeah, I don't think it was always like that. Pretty sure it wasn't like that. Not that it matters. I'm not typically the wideness of the spread doesn't necessarily matter to me, but I was like, huh. It's been so long since I actually looked at them. I've been using all bunch. Okay, downtrend setup. Very, very easy. Looking on the 4-hour, where could we potentially take a short off of? The best short right now, probably the wick over wick, right? Oops, where's the button? Where is the button? Right there. Okay. I think that's one of those ones where we kind of missed it. It's kind of like, big area. It's a big wick over wick. Super clean over here. This is a big area to be able to take something off of. Again, it's marked over here. Yeah, it's 50 pips, but there's no way we would take a 50 pip zone like that. I think I would take a short in the zone. All right, downside over here. See this, the weird thing is this candle comes all the way back down. It is forming descending, so you have a low here and then a higher low and then a higher low in those candles, so which again typically signifies it. But this one little wick here is just kind of funky. I'm not a huge fan of that wick. It would be nice if it stopped here and then I'd use this lower area. I would use something along these lines. Like if it stopped right there, that I'd be happy about that. But because we have this wick all the way to the downside, it's kind of like, I don't like it as much. And if you look at this on the daily, you guys can see we have some buyers over here, right? A lot of, a lot of spikes down. It's a lot of this stuff. Okay. I like to say that I love it on the 4 hour, but I just don't I just cannot I just don't like the way that this formed. So I'm gonna skip this one. Pound New Zealand. Pound New Zealand will probably have some movement tomorrow night. Obviously, with that Aussie number, it will affect the pound. Or, I'm sorry, it will affect the New Zealand as well. So I expect that we'll get a little bit. Now, look at this one. If you look on this in the 30 minutes, you're like, wow, we got some movement here. But if you're looking on the daily, you guys can see that it's really not a whole lot. We've really been kind of staying sideways, as well as the 4 hours. Really just been kind of, we did have a bit of a grind up. Again, here was your Friday candle. Here was your kind of in the opposite direction Sunday open. And again, it is ground higher, right? It closed here, opened here, and you can see. Here, I'll move that. This is the target. That was the target. But here's where we close on Friday, and you can see where we are right now. So we basically just had this one little pop from early morning from 7. By 11 o'clock, we are already retracing back down again, and we're exactly where we closed on Friday. So I'm still bearish this pair. Again, being this high in the curve, putting in these lower highs here, 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 and here. Again, for me, this to me looks like it wants to roll over. It just needs some type of catalyst. I don't see any more pound strength in this one, at least for a while. But, on the flip side, we need some New Zealand strength to be able to drive to the downside. And we'll see what the Aussie number says tomorrow about that one. But I don't think there's a ton out there that says, hey, that's it. Let's strengthen. We're just not quite there yet. All right. All right, let's go down to New Zealand dollar. See what we can find over here. See if we have an area where we do have some strength coming in. Come on, load. Downtrend setup. Okay, so it's not screaming to us right now that, hey, listen, we're gonna get some some strength out of this one. Friday, right here, and then to the side, right? And again, here was that kind of Harry Potter. We got some white space to the downside. Continue to push lower, 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 lower. And again, its peak was the low was basically at 11 o'clock this morning, and then we rallied back up again. Okay, that was kind of right around the same time that Trump was talking. I wish we had a cleaner entry on the 4 hour. Another one where it's kind of like, I mean, this is not great, right? This is, I prefer if the green was the high, right? Not the red when this pulled all the way back up again. So, I mean, for me, if I'm going to draw this, let's pull this out. I mean, I'm probably going to draw this one probably over in like that is what I'd be looking for as far as clean goes. I just don't really like how this red is all the way up. So that's, and again, interesting enough, I just drew it here, and you guys see what happened where it is on the lower time frame. It's the same exact spot, right? From here, hit, 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 broke through, and that's what it retested off of, and it's the same zone. So probably that is what I'd be looking for my short. That's a very tiny zone anyway. And again, we almost drew it exactly on top of each other from the 4 hour down on the 30-minute. That zone is encapsulated between 63.78 and 63.87. Okay. And again, if we get up there, I'd be looking to potentially take a short off of that one. Okay. Again, that would coincide pretty well with the basing here. And again, nice in to the downside. All right. Actually, I guess Thursday night chart school, we were here. So this would have been from last week, right? Because again, here's the 19 and the 20 candle. Actually, I guess it'll be the 20 candle now because of daylight savings time. But you can see here's the 19 candle where we were last time. So Thursday night chart school, actually that would have been Wednesday night chart school. Thursday night chart school would have been here. Again, same thing. Came down, and that's where this Harry Potter came from to the side. Okay. All right, let's go dollar Swiss. Dollar Swiss. Let's see. Do we have any Swissy news this week? Hold on, guys. 1 sec. I'm looking to see if there's any. Chairman speaking. All right, so Swiss. Okay, we basically pulled back up. We wanted the selling zone. So we ended, let's see, we ended right here. Okay, right above. Okay, we had broken through that. We came back and retested it on Sunday at the open and then rallied back up again. Now, this is the one we talked about last week, being high on the curve there. We wanted to be a bit cautious. Again, going long into this area we were talking about would be a no-no, right? We were over in here, right, on Thursday, and we said, hey, listen, there would be a short here. We did. We ended up getting low. This was Friday at 3:30 in the morning. It went, if you look to the left, again, this target may have been a little bit overzealous with this level of basing here. We literally turned right on that base. Okay, if you guys want to see it. We're trying to get 30 out of it, but if you guys look right here, there is where it turned. So kind of missed it. Again, you took almost no heat in there if you were to get entry. It came back down. It popped higher. Again, gave us that Harry Potter trade, but we said got to be careful with Friday. There's only so much space to go long, and it did exactly what we mentioned. It went up, it hit, and it went right back down again to that area. So, again, looking at this one on the daily, definitely in more of a bearish position in this one. Again, that would be dollar weakness, and there definitely could be some dollar weakness, right? With some numbers tomorrow, that consumer confidence is bad. It's already lining up like it wants to go short on this one. Okay, if you guys can see, we have a nice red. We have a bit of a green pullback. It looks like it's stalling already. And again, if we get the red, there's your confirmation to the downside. Although, yes, guys, it's already moved quite a bit from that zone. So again, be a bit cautious with that one. But this could have been one you've taken short earlier today as well, about 8 o'clock this morning. Looking at dollar CAD. Come on. Just going to sit inside the cage and make noises at me. All right, so dollar CAD, what we talked about was we're basically all the way down here. We wanted to see how it was going to react off of the zone, right? The last time it was down here was in July. Before that, we're talking about October 2018, so over a year ago, right? So at this point, what do we do? Again, we keep pushing lower and lower. Again, we've made some attempts even here. Price keeps getting jammed right back again. So it does look like it's starting to settle on top of this line. If you look in the last 24 hours, this one has moved a total of minus 12 pips to the downside. So is there a trade setup in here? I would say no. I mean, it looks like it wants to go lower. It looks like it wants to be a short, but where can it really go? I mean, we can go a little bit lower, but we're literally running into an area of daily, buyers on the daily. That last time I was here in July, again, it made one attempt to push down, came up, spiked down again a second time, and then took off. And that's what brought us from 130 all the way up to 133.50. Actually a little bit higher than that, right? All the way up to 133.80, basically 133.90. So at this point, we are so close. We are within what? Like 20 pips of being in that zone. I think this is something we need to wait for. We need to show patience in this one. When we enter the zone, then we can see. Then we can see whether or not this is going to be a long or short or what. Because right now, I mean, it's literally sitting and it's basing right above the zone. So obviously, the market is respecting that buy zone. And again, we're not getting any forceful play to the downside. I'd like to see if I'm trying to think. I don't know if consumer confidence tomorrow will do it. I don't think that would have the power to kind of punch us through the bottom side, but it would definitely help. It could definitely punch us into that zone, and then we can really see what this zone is made of. Like I said, I would be interested to see if it goes, if we could punch into it, how low we could go, one, and two, what that retrace look like. If it's not a very deep retrace, then this thing wants to drop. It wants to go back into the 129s. Okay. Back to short into a wick over wick. Hold on. Let me go dollar Swiss. This one right here. You're talking about this one right here. Is that what you're looking at? Yeah. And from that zone, it's not horrible. Problem is that you really can't make the zone much smaller over here. It's on this one. But yeah, that would be a valid entry. Like I said, the last time it hit that area, right? You can see. But again, there is two. They are descending. I mean, it's a nice zone. On the lower time frame, I'd probably shrink it down to about there. It'd be a little bit smaller. We'd be taking just a single wick. It's only about a 28 pip move. But again, remember, it's also coming off a daily. So the lower wick over wicks aren't going to work as well because of the daily. All right, let's go to dollar yen. I have a buddy who's Jade is deciding to sit on my arm now. She's like sitting right where my hand is. She's getting really into the charts now. Hello. All right, so getting pretty close on this one. So more or less we are flatlining this one. Again, here was the base, right? Here was your 30-minute gap, right? Now, it's debatable whether or not this one was considered trending at all. I mean, we had to put a couple days in higher, right? You can see that, again, we had a very small kind of gap. Okay, you're talking about 4 pips. Okay, it did come back down. It did touch. It did come a second time, right? This morning down at 5 o'clock in the morning. And then it kind of took off. And then obviously the Trump thing up, 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 up. So definitely has kind of moved. Now, what it's doing now is it's pushing higher. We're almost at the guitar string, right? I talked earlier today, obviously this morning at Nadex, was kind of right in this area. It was right here. Okay, it was before the spike. The spike occurred after we were out. It was actually about 30 minutes after. And I talked about it'd be nice if we could get up to the guitar strings, right? There's 3 levels of sellers up here. Distance a little bit apart, but we need some type of catalyst. Well, the tweet was the catalyst, the trade war thing. If there is some more information tomorrow, that would be nice. I am definitely bearish minded in this pair. I would like it to get a bit higher though. It has made one more push forward and it has broken the high here and gone a bit higher. If we can get just a bit higher up into here, then I'd be looking to go short. Okay, not a huge zone. Be looking for something, obviously dial it down. Look for kind of a failure to go higher with kind of an attempt up and a push back down and then a retest that area. As soon as it doesn't go as high, then I'd be looking to pull the trigger and go short on this one. So we're super, super close. If you guys don't have it marked off, 109.13 is the bottom of that zone of the first one. 109.48 is the second one. 109.98 is the third one of these 3 guitar strings, right? And again, I'm liking this. It's like, just give us one more push. Just get us a little bit higher. Get us into that zone. This would be one of those things if you guys are, want to practice doing alerts. This would be a place to kind of set an alert for that one, right? I'd set my alert at 109. Okay, I guess the bird has flat energy. 109, probably 05. That gives you about 7 pips on that one. I don't think it's going to spike into that zone anytime soon, but she did. I'm not sure where she is now. But that's what I'd be looking for. Set an alert. I probably wouldn't put it this close. I'd probably put the alert probably in that area. 109.06, right above this recent high. That would be kind of enough timing for you to kind of say, hey, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? And see what the catalyst was to drive it in that zone. If it is a grind up and there's no true basing level, definitely into a short for that one. Okay. Again, right now on the daily, you guys can see on this one, remove this one. We were in a downtrend, so we were in the anchor break to the top side. Big thing is, though, again, we're getting close to daily supply zones. Okay, daily supply zones are pretty powerful, and we dial those down on the 4 hour. So want to just get a bit higher, and again, move these across. All right, there, there, and there. Okay. Those are the three that we are looking at. All right, one bird decided to go back in the cage. The other bird is still doing laps in the room. So, not sure what that one is doing. Oh, she's back on top of the cage. All right, so that was basically it for the major pairs. With that being said, let me go over and pull daily effects in, and we'll kind of just check that out real quick. Boom, boom, boom. Man, look at crude oil back up at 55. I am not into this paying gas thing. I like my gas cheap. I know. I forget I don't forget who works in oil in here. I know somebody likes it when it's high, but I'm gonna disagree with you and tell you that I like it when it's low. All right, S&P 500. So, okay. So, again, you guys can see. Look at that. All-time high. So again, forecasting this now is going to be a little bit interesting, right? Because again, now you're just kind of guesstimating and saying, okay, what's going to here? And this is where kind of Jack's fib tools are kind of handy sometimes. Like I said, for me, price has never been here. It's really hard to say that there is going to be unfilled orders because again, it's never been up here. Now, there are orders up here somewhere, but nobody really knows. So again, something like Fibonacci is a tool that is handy for this one. Just because, again, Fibonacci is not just about where prices are naturally, it's about where prices expect prices to be, right? Because everybody knows how to read it, everybody knows where the extensions are, and they know where those levels are going to be. So it almost kind of artificially creates that situation, all right? So that is one tool that you can use for this. Now, looking at kind of big areas of where there's popping and kind of basing and things like that, those are always important as well. And areas that I would mark off in this one and say, okay, listen, where could it potentially retrace back down to? I don't mind that zone there, right? That's not a horrible zone. Again, we get some basing in the red. Nice kind of, shot out of it. It kind of pushed up, right? A little bit of a gap, again, pull back and then launch from that zone. So that's not a bad little area. And that's, 29.68.25 down to 28.56.25. So a little bit of an area, again, to watch out on the daily. I can't go lower on these frames, but you guys can get the idea. And again, I'm very, very curious to see what it does from the top here. So for me, right now, and again, I don't trade these often, just in all, fair balance here. I can't see that because that is in the way. Let's move this. Oh, come on. Just like this one sometimes. Okay, so one thing that I would be doing right now is doing this. Okay, be very curious about blocking that area off and keeping that area. So if we have any type of pullback down again, this is definitely a potential area for a failure to go higher situation. Okay, at some point it is going to fail. Consumer confidence numbers may send it back. There's any number of different things that could send this thing back again. And all you can do is, if you're waiting for the market to show you where orders are, we need a bit of a pullback. Now, obviously we are in an uptrend, right? If we get a red candle, it will be an uptrend setup. So ideally what we're looking for is a red candle down and then a green candle back up again that is not as high. Okay, and that signifies that, hey, listen, we had a failure to go higher, price is coming back up, right, in that retrace, and running into sellers, it's starting to head back to the downside. Okay, so it's kind of a wait and see situation on this one. Like I said, bad consumer confidence numbers could easily flip this and turn this back to the downside, but I'd like it to start forming a red, green, red to the down to get, obviously short this pair. I just like it for the move, miss the drop today. For this one, the pullback in it? That's what you're trying to get into it? Is that what you're talking about, James? Like I said, I wish I could drop it down to a lower time from here, but it's not the end of the world. Okay. That's what you're saying, but I would definitely be looking for a high in this one. Wait for this thing to cap out and then start selling positions to the downside. Looking at sorry, come on. Let's go over and okay, so and you guys can see the same thing when that oil's doing that same kind of failure to go higher kind of situation, right? So you guys can see we were at a level of basing for oil here, right? Okay, you guys can see that we had that level there. And again, price ran right into it, right? Again, drop, sideways, drop, sideways, drop, sideways. Last time it hit this side as it went down, grabbed more orders, and then finally broke it, right? Came to the same spot and turned back. So now we've gone up again. We've kind of cleared ourselves down to
really kind of as a profit target down into this area, right? This shouldn't be red. Hold on. I know I'm probably screwing people up on this one. Something along those lines. Okay, now again, we don't have a confirmation, but it is in an area facing sideways. So that's a potential setup that was occurring today. Again, not a bad drop to the downside. Okay. Maybe this is the one you're talking about, James. And again, this was a drop from a high of 56.79 down to 55.76. So again, not a bad little pop, right? Dropping that one down a little bit lower in the 4 hour, you can see kind of how that kind of unfolded. Going back, and again, you can see probably there is where you would have put that one. So again, lowered the risk a bit on that one. You can see nice little pop in and literally straight down. So at a basing level right now, if you're going to pick another level, again, this is basically where your target should have been today. I will change this to, let's go a lighter blue color there, right there, signify a different time frame. And again, we talked about the lower target here. In essence, if you really wanted to kind of, again, dial this down, you put your target right about there for any type of short. Because again, this is a racetrack situation. It just literally popped up in one candle. Not a bad little short, okay, to the downside. And again, if you're able to grab this on the top side, nice trade. Again, I don't trade futures with oil, okay? It's one of the ones I don't even, just never did. It was just not worth it for me. But 56.54 all the way down to 55.64. Dollar move is a nice move. Okay, you guys make some really good money out of that one. And again, it stopped exactly where it should have stopped today. So, all right. So that would be crude oil. Again, just know that we are sitting inside of a buying zone right there. All right. And I will look last but not least, and we'll go over here and we will touch on gold. Okay. Right. So does gold look like a fun chart? Not so much, right? Okay. When you're looking at this one, you guys can see we had levels of basing. It kind of spiked back up. Really kind of big areas on this one that I would mark off. Up at this level here. This level here. The downside. Kind of looking at something like that. Let's see. Give me another one. To make that one a little bit smaller, but if I was going to do near term stuff, I would do this. Shorter time frame. Oh, you did it on the hedge this morning? Yeah, I'd kind of set it up like that. Like I said, kind of a rock and a hard place, kind of going sideways. But those would be kind of like minor buying and selling, and then obviously a little bit more major when the larger time frames. Again, and even breaking it down to like a 1 hour right now. You guys can see where we're at, right? Sitting inside of this lower level. Now again, had you been playing a retrace on this one, boom, all the way back down to the start of the move, and you guys see what we run into. So again, techniques are the same. It's just finding the right kind of positions. Like I said, on lower time frame. Let's see if that runs into anything. Look at that. There's one. There's two. You guys see what's right there? that. Wick over wick. In the middle of a large extended range move on 2 candles on the hourly. There's whatever works for you, James, is you're doing well. But interesting way to play that one, right? So it was a wick over wick on the hourly in the middle of a large extended range move. And actually, it's funny, right? 1, 2, and this is lower, so you don't count it as much. But 1, 4 actually held on this one. But again, this one being much lower kind of reestablished that one as kind of valid, but higher, a little slightly higher. And so not bad little setup, right? And again, that was talking here. Oops. There you go. His. Yep. So there's gold for you guys. All right. So add a little bit more in there. Figure out, you guys can do that. Like I said, I'm not going to really cover anything else on here. I don't think there's really much. What else would I cover in here? And not going to cover any of the commodities. I covered any of these other ones. I was looking at this actually yesterday. Thought this was pretty interesting for the UK chart. And this guy right here. We're getting pretty close to it. Okay. Again, it was just pretty clean. Like I said, it's kind of stuck right now at this little kind of wick over wick, but again, large spike to the downside. And what did it do? It retraced back up again, and it's moving back to the start of the move. So, not that I trade FTSE often, but again, it is tradable. Jack broke me into the future is kind of hard for me to give him up. Nah, it's whatever you want. I mean, you do what works for you. Like I said, there's 8 trillion different trading strategies that work. When you find one that works for you, you make it, your bread and butter. I just don't like futures. I don't like the contract switching. I don't like the money you have to pay for them. None of those things make sense to me. So it's just not one of those things that bug me much. Never got into it. Just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. So I say with currencies, there's more opportunities there, more things that I can trade, more ways that I can trade them, and more different strategies. Like I said, I don't sit in front of you sit in front of a computer, James, probably more than I do at this point. Or at least looking at charts. I may sit in front of a computer more, but it's not necessarily looking at charts. Okay. All right, guys. So with that being said, that kind of concludes us for the night. Like I said, try to mix it up. Try to go to a couple different things. Like I said, I'd like to see this get a little bit higher. I think there is some good opportunities for tomorrow. Like I said, first early morning thing I'll be watching from tomorrow for the 10 o'clock. Again, remember, consumer confidence is a 10 a.m. number. It is also one of the times that we can have reversals. So I wouldn't be surprised if the market starts up tomorrow morning and then a crappy consumer confidence number comes in, and then the market goes down for the day, or vice versa. Maybe the market's down big and it's a great consumer confidence number, and that's a reversal for the morning, and we kind of shoot back to the top side. So it is definitely one of those numbers that can cause a reversal in the day. All right. All right. So with that being said, there are 9 entrants, 11 tickets purchased. Ryan has 2 and James has 2. They're duking it out now. All right. So, with that being said, I will give you guys, until this says 1 hour and 10 minutes, I'll give you guys another 30 seconds. You can get in for the drawing. I think everybody is in. Ernest kind of snuck him in at the end. Vanessa got in early. Oh, Vic is in with 2 now as well. Again, this is that risk to reward ratio thing that you guys are doing. Oanda and IG? What do you mean Oanda and IG? Oh, recommended broker? Honestly, right now, it depends what you want to use. So the bigger question between those 2 brokers is, are you going to be going for a funded account, or do you want to trade your own account? Okay. And the reason I say that is because if you have plans to go kind of the funded route, then I would say Oanda, because Oanda is going to give you access to Ninja as well as MT4, and that's what you got to be able to do your funding on. Okay. If you're more interested in just doing your own accounts and handling it that way, then I would go IG. I think the platform is good. Again, you get to keep it simple, as well as you can send alerts to your phone. I think they do an excellent job with integration, and the drawing over there is a little bit better. That you can have boxes carry over, and just it just it's a clean platform if you're just going to use that. But like I said, I have live accounts at Oanda. I do not have live accounts at IG, but I do trade through Ninja, as well as MetaTrader 4. So I have two. Um, so it really depends on what you want to do. I have still yet to do the funding videos. I have to do all the funding videos, but and actually, did I tell you guys that there's actually another? I'm looking at another different brokerage um, to do funded trading through that gives you a little bit. Its advantages, it gives you a bit more of a down draw. So like if you have one bad day, you don't stop yourself out and have to restart over again. Target's higher, but also the down draw is higher, which again can be beneficial in some things. Some people here have insider information on winning the pip chips. The only one that does that is Ernest. All right, I'm closing it. Ready? Here we go. One, two. It's closed, and the winner of the drawing is Ryan. Look at that. Ryan comes back and steals it. Man, look at that. He played you, James. He played you. I think last time Ryan bought 2 tickets, he won too. Ryan's got this thing. Hey, and I will say this. Ryan was one of the guys that cashed some pip chips in for some mentoring, so maybe. And of course, Vanessa won last week after she did her mentoring too, so maybe. Not that I have any control over it, but it's funny how it works out that way. Um, but yeah, so let's see. Mark this as complete. Let's give Ryan. Ryan will be lower on the list. Let's see. Ryan's right here. We'll give Ryan another 25 pip chips. And there we go. Ryan is good. Name of new broker. It's a trading company, but I'm gonna kind of let me go through the process first and make sure it's good. Make sure it makes sense before I give it to you. Come on, as Ernest says. Yeah, Ernest says that, right? All right, guys. So with that being said, I will be on. Oh, by the way, I will be on for Nadex tomorrow morning, but Nadex wants to mix it up and wants me to do nighttime. We're up to like 26 people today, but they want me to do nighttime broadcasts now. So tomorrow will be the last morning broadcast, and then what's going to happen is they want me to do nighttime. So I'll start doing Monday night for Nadex, and I'll probably do chart school on Monday mornings. So I'll probably just kind of switch it around. So I'll do like a 30-minute or kind of like a planning the week type scenario thing in the morning that you guys can watch the replays on, and that'll be on Twitch and YouTube. And then Monday nights will be Nadex presentations, kind of like a weekly kind of price action kind of setup type videos. That'll be starting, I believe, next week. I'll put the link inside of the forums. So it'll be a regular time. It'll be at 9 p.m. It'll just be Nadex broadcasting it. And if I'm able to, what I'll do is I'll dual stream it. So it'll be their platform up, and then I'll be sharing the screen that they're already looking at. But I won't be able to talk to you guys. So I won't be able to answer your questions, and they'll be like, wait, who are you talking to? Type thing. So my mentor sessions came with my 5. Yeah, Vanessa didn't spend pip chips. She purchased it. But she actually got double. We've already done an hour. We're going to do another hour because I gave her some homework. So she's getting extra. All right, guys, I'm out of here. It's 10 after 10. I'm going to go get some more tea, save my voice, and so I can get this recording done, and I will catch you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys a ton.